All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into kind of a scary thought experiment.
Yeah.
A big what if.
Mm-hmm.
You know how when COVID happened,
Right.
it felt like
Yeah.
this is a turning point,
Yeah.
Things are going to change.
Yeah.
The world's going to be different.
Of course, yeah.
So we're kind of exploring that, but like way worse.
Okay.
What if COVID
Mm-hmm.
had been another Black Death?
Oh, wow.
And that is the name of the article we're going to be looking at today.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah,
That's a pretty grim thought experiment.
it is. I mean, just thinking about the sheer numbers, right?
Yeah.
The Black Death back in the 1300s
Mm-hmm.
wiped out like 30 to 60% of Europe's population.
It's crazy.
And if you try to put that in today's terms, you're talking about almost 4 billion deaths.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to even fathom.
Right.
It's just like such a massive number.
Yeah.
But the article doesn't just stop at the death toll.
Right.
It really explores all these cascading consequences.
Okay. Right. Like our healthcare system's collapsing.
Yeah.
Widespread panic.
Yeah, of course.
Total societal breakdown.
Wow.
And it's just a really sobering read.
Yeah, I bet.
And I think what's even scarier
Yeah.
is just how much faster a pandemic could spread today.
Right.
Like we saw with COVID.
Yeah.
It just went global so
It
fast.
was incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Now imagine something as deadly as the Black Death,
Mm-hmm.
but as contagious as measles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a scary thought.
Like, I am so glad I got my MMR booster.
Yeah.
But, how do you even begin to prepare for something like that?
Right.
The article suggests it's not just masks and social distancing.
No, I imagine not.
We're talking potential martial law,
Wow.
hospitals completely overwhelmed, supply chains breaking down.
I mean, it just sounds like complete societal unraveling
Yeah.
on a scale that's hard to imagine.
Right. Think about like the toilet paper scrambles 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Now multiply that by 1,000.
Oh, God.
Food shortages,
Yeah.
lack of basic utilities
Wow.
like electricity, clean water,
Yeah.
the internet potentially going down.
Right.
It's a recipe for chaos.
Yeah, it really is.
The article even suggests the possibility of people turning on each other,
Oh, wow.
just like they did during the Black Death.
Right.
With social media
Yeah.
amplifying fear and misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, all the weapons that are available today.
Right.
The potential for violence is just terrifying.
Yeah, I see that.
And, it's interesting because this potential for breakdown,
Yeah.
it's not just speculation.
Right.
You can look back at history
Yeah.
and see how pandemics have,
Mhm.
in the past led to all kinds of
Mhm.
like increases in religious extremism,
Right.
scapegoating, even witch hunts.
Oh, wow.
And, try to imagine how that would play out in today's world.
Yeah, with our current political climate.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a stark reminder that pandemics don't just impact our physical health.
Right.
They affect everything.
Yeah.
Our social fabric, our psychology, our institutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking into a distorted mirror
Yeah.
that's reflecting back a darker version of humanity.
It really is.
And that's what makes this whole thought experiment
Yeah,
so compelling and so unsettling.
it is.
It forces us to really confront some uncomfortable truths
Yeah.
about how vulnerable we are,
Mhm.
both as individuals and as a society.
Right.
So let's say, this hypothetical pandemic, it
Yeah.
burns itself out.
Okay.
What kind of world emerges from the ashes?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
Well, the article paints a picture of a world that's utterly transformed.
Okay.
Imagine deserted cities, once bustling with life,
Wow.
now just eerie ghost towns.
Okay.
Nature slowly reclaiming what humans have built.
Mm-hmm.
Skyscrapers becoming overgrown with vegetation.
Yeah.
Cars rusting in empty streets.
Yeah, that's a haunting image.
It is.
What about governments? Would they survive?
Well, that's one of the big unknowns.
Okay.
The article suggests a few possibilities.
Right.
Maybe governments would emerge weakened, clinging to power, but with less authority.
Okay.
We might see the rise of local warlords or militias,
Yeah.
controlling pockets of territory.
Wow.
Or perhaps,
Yeah.
in a more kind of dystopian twist,
Yeah.
we see tech billionaires who had anticipated the catastrophe
Yeah.
and built, elaborate bunkers.
Yeah.
They emerge as the new power brokers.
It's like a reset button
It is.
on civilization.
Yeah.
As we know it.
Exactly.
But throughout history,
Yeah.
even after the most devastating events,
Mm-hmm.
humanity has always found a way to rebuild.
We have, yeah.
Is that what the article suggests would happen here?
Yes, but the rebuilding process wouldn't be straightforward.
Okay.
Imagine having to start from scratch
Yeah.
with a drastically reduced population and a shattered infrastructure.
Yeah.
The world would be a very different place.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even wrap our heads around the scale of change we're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's dive into what this rebuilding might actually look like.
Okay.
One area the article really digs into is this potential for a technological renaissance.
Okay.
So think about it. A pandemic, like we're talking about, creates this massive labor shortage.
Yeah.
We might be forced to just accelerate the development of AI and automation.
Wow.
Just to keep essential services running.
So it's like we're suddenly catapulted into this future
Yeah.
that we thought was like decades away.
Right.
Instead of doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
We might have robots performing surgeries, fields tended by like automated drones.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing?
It's hard to say, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's definitely a double-edged sword. On the one hand, imagine AI managing these complex systems, right?
Yeah.
Like our power grids, global supply chains, optimizing resource allocation in ways we never could.
Yeah.
Imagine robots taking over dangerous jobs, protecting human lives.
Okay, so that sounds like almost utopian.
Right.
But, I mean, I can see some downsides.
Of course.
Like
Hey.
mass unemployment,
Yeah.
robots replacing human workers.
Yeah.
This widening gap between the haves and have-nots.
Right, where those who control the technology just amass more power.
Exactly.
The article raises those concerns, too.
Okay.
It doesn't assume, technological advancement automatically equals a better world.
Right.
It depends on the choices we make, right? The
Yeah.
systems we put in place.
Yeah.
What if we use this crisis as an opportunity to, rethink work?
Okay, yeah.
To create a more equitable society.
Right.
Where the benefits of automation are shared by all.
So instead of fearing a robot takeover,
Yeah.
we could embrace a future where work is less about just drudgery
Yeah.
and more about purpose.
Exactly.
More fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a radical shift in thinking. But this kind of catastrophic event, maybe that's the catalyst?
Yeah.
And the technological implications, they don't stop there.
Okay.
The article speculates that a modern Black Death might even accelerate the transition to renewable energy.
That's a twist I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Drastically reduced workforce.
Mm-hmm.
The fossil fuel industry, which relies heavily on manual labor,
Yeah.
might just become unsustainable.
Okay.
Renewable energy sources, they require less human intervention.
Right.
Could become the more viable option.
It's like a forced evolutionary leap
Yeah.
for our energy infrastructure.
Right.
Driven not by idealism, but by survival.
Exactly. Just sheer necessity.
And there's one more mind-bending possibility the article explores. Human evolution itself.
Whoa, wait.
Are you suggesting we might actually evolve as a species?
It might sound like science fiction,
It kind of does.
but it's grounded in scientific principles.
Huh?
Natural selection, right? It
Yeah.
favors individuals with traits that help them survive and reproduce.
So in this scenario,
Yeah.
the people who survive this plague would be the ones with some kind of genetic advantage,
Exactly.
making them more resistant.
Right. And over generations, those traits would become more prevalent,
Okay.
leading to a human species that's, naturally more resistant to future pandemics.
So it's a process that's been happening forever.
For millennia.
But an event like this could really speed it up.
Exactly.
That's fascinating and a little bit terrifying
Yeah.
to think that this could reshape, our biology.
It makes you wonder what other adaptations might emerge.
Right. It's what does it even mean to be human
Yeah.
in a world shaped by these extreme events?
Right.
Would we be stronger, more resilient,
More adaptable?
or would we lose something?
Yeah. It's a big question.
It's like we're standing at this crossroads,
Yeah.
facing a future that's both uncertain and full of possibilities.
It really is.
But I think the most crucial question the article asks
Yeah.
is, would we actually learn from this?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
History's full of examples of us, repeating the same mistakes.
Right.
Failing to heed the warnings.
I mean, after the Black Death, there were some positive changes, right?
Yeah.
Feudalism crumbled, new economic systems emerged.
Right.
There was a focus on hygiene and sanitation.
Yeah.
But we also saw, a rise in persecution,
Right.
a resurgence of religious extremism.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we didn't prevent future pandemics.
It's a sobering reminder that progress isn't linear.
Right.
It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it often comes at a high cost.
Yeah.
But amidst all that chaos and destruction, there's always potential for growth, for learning, for becoming better.
So if we apply the lessons of this thought experiment to our world today, what are the key takeaways?
That's a great question.
What can we do individually and as a society to make sure we're better prepared?
Right, for whatever the future holds. I think that's something we're going to continue exploring.
Okay.
But one thing's for sure, we can't afford to be complacent.
Well, we've been on quite a journey today.
We have.
Imagining this world just ravaged by a pandemic as deadly as the Black Death.
Yeah.
It's a bleak picture.
It is.
But, as we were just talking about, history shows us that even after, the darkest of times, humanity finds a way to adapt and rebuild and even, make progress.
Yeah, and it's a real testament to our resilience, I think.
Yeah.
But this thought experiment, it's not just about surviving some hypothetical catastrophe, right? It's about using this scenario to really examine our choices today.
Yeah.
To ask ourselves, what kind of future we're building.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on this, potential for collapse.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, solutions.
Okay, yeah.
What can we learn from this what if?
Right.
That can help us navigate the real world?
I think one of the most obvious takeaways is just the importance of pandemic preparedness.
Yeah.
We've seen how quickly a virus can spread in our interconnected world.
Crazy.
So we need to strengthen our healthcare systems, support scientific research, develop really robust early warning systems to detect and contain outbreaks, before they get out of control.
And it's not just about money.
Right. Absolutely not.
It's about global cooperation, sharing information, resources, making sure everyone has access to vaccines and treatments.
Yeah, exactly. No matter where they live.
Yeah.
Pandemics don't respect borders,
It's true.
So our response has to be coordinated and collaborative.
Yeah.
Imagine if instead of competing for resources, nations actually pooled their knowledge and expertise to develop a universal vaccine platform that could be adapted to new threats.
That would be a game changer.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier the potential for this technological renaissance that could be spurred by this crisis.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So imagine a scenario where AI is used not just to automate tasks, but to actually augment human capabilities.
Okay.
We could have AI systems that help us analyze vast amounts of data to, predict outbreaks, develop new treatments, even design more resilient cities and infrastructure.
So it's using technology to create this, safety net for humanity.
Yeah.
Almost like a global immune system.
Or like that.
That can help us, anticipate and respond to threats.
Yeah. It's a powerful analogy.
But as we've discussed, technology is a tool.
It is.
And like any tool,
it
can be used for good or bad.
Right. We need to be mindful of the ethical implications.
Yeah. Making sure these advancements benefit everyone.
Not just a select few.
Right. It's a balancing act.
Yeah. But this thought experiment, as unsettling as it's been, it also offers this glimmer of hope.
Yeah, it does.
It suggests that even facing unimaginable devastation, we have the capacity for innovation,
for adaptation,
ultimately progress.
And it reminds us that, the future isn't predetermined. It's something we create through our choices, our actions, our willingness to learn from the past and imagine something better.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
You've heard us discuss the potential for catastrophic collapse and this transformative change.
Yeah.
So the question is, what role will you play?
Yeah. What role will you play in shaping the future?
Will you be a passive observer?
Right. Just waiting to see what unfolds.
Or will you be an active participant?
Using your knowledge,
your skills, to create a world that's more resilient, more equitable, and more prepared for whatever comes next.
The choice is yours.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this thought-provoking journey.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope it's left you with more than just, unease, but also a sense of agency.
Right.
A spark of hope.
Yeah.
And a renewed commitment to building a better future.
For everyone?
For all.